What's the challenge these guys present to you? I'm sure there's a bunch, but is there a couple, 2-3 things there that really stand out?
Yes, there is. I think this is one of the most unique defenses we'll face all year. It's got a long history. I remember being able to face it a couple times when we were at Jacksonville, and even prior to that. And it's got the Dick LeBeau traditional world, which is organized chaos. So these guys do a great job trying to disguise, fool the quarterback, bring pressure from all over, rush 5 with a bunch of really good football players. So I think it's going to be about communicating and the guys seeing the looks and just being able to talk and work through things throughout the game. So it's going to be a great challenge.
They didn't get a sack for the first time forever last week with T.J. Watt not playing. What kind of difference does he make when he is on the field? Looks like he will be available Sunday.
Yeah, you're talking about a great player. I mean, he's not only very talented, but his motor is unbelievable. I mean, he plays with absolute relentless effort. So I think, it's a credit to him that every play, doesn't matter, play away, play to him. I mean, he's going to do everything he can to make a play. And then you add his talent into there, he's a special player. So anytime he's out there, you got to know where he is. But then you accompany him with, number 8, who's playing at a high level, and 97, who's an unbelievable veteran that's still playing at a high level, 56. I mean, there's a lot of guys up front there. It's going to be a great challenge.
Is it different than preparing for Bosa, where maybe he's going to be in that spot, and maybe not a huge blitzing team? Is it a different kind of animal there? Or?
Yes and no. I mean, to a certain extent, you can kind of find those guys and know where they're going to be. But I think it's more, there's obviously a lot of good players, and you want to have the mind of where they all are. But at the same time, with the pressure, it's just, they're always bringing it. They're always rushing those 5, which create a lot of one-on-ones. So you just got to pick and choose your battles.
Is that a particular challenge when you got a bunch of young offensive linemen?
Hey, one more time?
Is that a particularly big challenge when you have a bunch of young offensive linemen trying to block all that?
I mean, yes, it's a challenge for any offensive line. I think. I mean, everybody that has to go against them has to, somehow, some way, you got to figure out how to block those 5 guys. And I think it's about, being able to establish a run game. You always want to do that. That protects everybody. And then pick and choose when you're going to take your shots down the field and get high completion percentage passes going. So it's just about mixing it up. And as much as they want to try to kind of throw you off, you have to throw them off at the same time.
Are you guys being forced with your protections to be a little bit more creative because you have Yash at left tackle? It's not like you can just say, okay, Bakhtiari, you block this guy over here. And then you've got the 2 young guys inside. I mean, are you a little bit different in some of the protection you've been doing this year?
I wouldn't necessarily go that far. I think anytime, you never want to be in the same protection all the time. I mean, anytime you do that, I mean, we face a lot of great coaches across the league, and they're going to figure that stuff out. So I think you want to always try to put different wrinkles in, whether it be helping those guys with some chips or kind of switching what we're doing up front, whether we're going to the left or the right or where the back is. So you're always trying to keep people on their toes, because anytime you just line up the same way and do the same thing, there's always going to be some weaknesses, and you don't want to give anybody the opportunity to be able to get you there.
Is it a big trade-off when you're blocking with 6 or 7 guys compared to just running a whole bunch of guys out in the route?
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things, anytime you ask some more people to help out, they're not going to get that vertical threat right away. But there's always compliments within routes on how they can fit, and it's just about kind of the timing of everything. Everything's a choreographed dance out there. You want people to kind of understand the responsibilities, understand where they fit in the route concept, whether they're helping or not. So I think it's just about, again, just kind of choreographing everything together.
Nathaniel, do you think the running game's been productive, but do you think you guys are close to, breaking that big explosive?
I'd like to think so. I think that, we've got a long way to go still. It's still early in the season. Just kind of as an offense as a whole, there's some things that are really good, and then, it's just about that consistency. And I think that as we continually run the ball and continually get the guys in a groove, I think that's where, those things are going to start popping. So we just got to keep running it.
Nathaniel, it seems from the outside looking in that some of the things that maybe bothered Aaron in the past don't bother him. He's not as worried about things that are maybe said outside. But one thing that seemed to really bother him was this idea that he wasn't invested. Watching his reaction to Mason's kick go through, it was pretty clear he was. You missed out on the Hugapalooza, obviously.
It was a great Hugapalooza up in the box, I'll tell you that much. It was awesome.
But I'm sure you expected him to be all in when he got here. But as you've watched him, how has that been confirmed being around him?
Well, I think the minute he got here, I mean, nothing was different. I mean, we all know Aaron is always going to be all in whatever he is going to do. I mean, I remember him telling me the stories of Jeopardy and how much he studied and worked. I mean, that's just the type of man he is. I mean, he's such a great person just across the board that, anytime he's going to commit to something, he's going to do everything he can to become the best at it. And the minute he walked in the door, he was ready to rock and roll.
I know you guys are close, and that's the thing you're supposed to say, right? Because you're not going to go and say, well, I was kind of wondering if he was going to be. But, when you start to talk about retirement or think about retirement, when you say something like that, there are those that wonder. And we had an experience with the guy that came before him, who would talk about retirement every year, and you did wonder necessarily how invested. Was there, as you watched him go through training camp, were your feelings confirmed with the way he carried himself and the way he looked with his teammates?
I mean, to address the retirement thing, I feel like that's just a thing as any of us get older, everybody starts wondering about retirement. My dad used to talk about it. I mean, everybody does. I mean, from the standpoint of him, actually, that kind of like one moment that was really wasn't anything. I mean, when he walked in the door, he was the same guy. I mean, he was attacking everything the same way he always had. And I think that's just the comfort level from us and just how our relationship is and how he is with all the guys. I mean, he was just so excited to be around everybody and is so excited to come to work every day. So I think those are the things that when you see that, and that was just kind of clarified the minute he walked in the door, at least for me.
So going back to the game the other night, Aaron gets you those two big plays. He spikes the ball. He gives it the fist bump. Now there's 3 seconds left. Your work's done. There's nothing else you can do. What do? Do you take the headset off and just watch? And does it seem like it goes fast, or is it forever for that kick to go through?
Definitely it wasn't fast. There was definitely some long, and then the timeout was called, which, for me, it was icing me. But I mean, we were up there, and it's like you said, you just kind of start packing up, and you're like, hey, this is either going to be it, or it's going to be good or bad. And I'm not going to lie, I was holding Coach Buckas's hand, and I was closing my eyes a little bit. But no, it's one of those things. It's so awesome, in that situation, especially kind of for how that week had gone. Coach Mo, everything that he went through. I mean, I just think it's so almost surreal that's how that game was won. Mason, all those guys, like, we have so much love and confidence for them that it was, you feel so good. You're like, oh my gosh, we did it before that thing had even, been snapped. So, it was great, and just love that, hey, it was a close one, but Vince Lombardi always said, most games are won and lost in the last 2 minutes of the first half or the second half. It's a quote that he had. So those things are fun to see actually come true.
Nathaniel, it's pretty easy for any casual watcher to see that Davante Adams is pretty good at what he does.
He's okay. Yeah.
For dummies like myself, what are some things maybe not as apparent just watching him that he does so well that make him good?
So first and foremost, which I know a lot of people see, is his ability to get off the line is second to none. I mean, it's hard for anybody to get hands on him. So his ability would kind of almost like a crossover in basketball. He has the ability to get up and then at the same time push vertical, which threatens people with speed, because a lot of people don't talk about Davante potentially as a super fast guy, but he has an amazing burst and can get behind people. So he's kind of got that ability to get off the line, ability to go vertical. But for me, it's his intelligence. I mean, he's a football player. I mean, he knows where to go, where to be, in which spots. So you add all these things together, and that's what you're seeing with him. I mean, we have a lot of plays that, we obviously want to get him the ball. And when you are calling those plays and running those plays, a lot of the time you don't, hey, maybe that won't work. It'll get to somebody else. And because of the player that he is, it works a lot. And I think that's kind of shows why he gets so many touches.